I do have some positive things.
All right, so tonight, part 2 of this. Screw you. So part 2 of this, we'll be discussing quote unquote Walking Thrones, which is the season 3 finale of Walking Dead and
my personal term
and the season 3 premiere of Game of Thrones.
We'll start with Thrones.
Well, to preface this, there's going to be spoilers galore in both of these discussions. More so Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I implore you to watch both before listening. All right, go.
Okay, Game of Thrones. It came back. It's just as great as ever, really. I mean, coming back to it as someone who only just caught up with the show, and this is only the second episode I've ever seen right after it's premiered. I'm still trying to get used to all the characters. There's a lot of them to follow. Sometimes I get lost in the names, but it's defied my expectations because I always thought, it's a fantasy show, so I kind of came to it with expectations of other fantasy stuff, but it's a much more somber and low-key fantasy.
It's not in your face.
And it's not like Lord of the Rings action either. It does have action in some parts, but it's not. It's much more about the character interactions and the power struggles and all that, and
the story. Story comes first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. And fucking Joffrey, who never fails to make us just want to kill him.
It was like he shows up in this episode, the last 15 minutes, everyone's like, we're going to get a Joffrey free episode. All of a sudden, no.
He shows up and they're like, no, I thought we were free of him. I liked the very end part with
the soldiers.
Yeah, there's the soldiers.
When they find what's his name, who was the former guard.
Yeah, there's that little lizard girl who tries to kill Daenerys.
I like that.
And then the guy sneaks up and saves her.
Who I swear to God, I thought that looked like Terrence Stamp for a good couple seconds.
How awesome would that have been?
Neo before.
Not really.
I think my favorite part of the episode was the Tyrion tyrants. Because you get the sense that, he hates his son.
I was gonna say all the stuff between the father and son. It was great, and he made the father made a good point. It's like, look, you just kind of
you screw whores and drink.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, for two seasons, I thought, Tyrion, he's awesome, he's the best. And then his father says, you're not really helping out that much. You're just kind of screwing whores and drinking. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Actually, he was. And trying to think, because the thing with Game of Thrones is it's not a show that until the ending.
It's not truly linear.
It doesn't go for the big moments, the big dramatic.
It builds
moments.
to it.
Exactly. It just lets the pieces kind of
come into place,
trickle through, and sweep over you. But it doesn't try to go. It doesn't in every episode try to go for a grand dramatic gesture to hook you, and it lets it go at a slow burn.
I think it's also because there are so many characters. But luckily, I think that this episode did a good job of both building off of what happened at the last part of season 2, but also it brought new stuff in.
Well, it literally picks up right there with Sam running away from those zombie things.
And they introduced new characters. One of my favorite character actors, Ciaran Hinds.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Snow runs into this new nomad tribe, basically.
Your Grace. Ha! He says, Your Grace.
I think it's a good way to start the series. I don't have any issues with it, but if I had to pick one, I think the Starks could have gotten maybe just a little bit.
Well, so that's the thing. With so many characters, there's inevitably going to be episodes where some characters just don't show up at all.
Yeah, but that was the one part that never really got readdressed.
Yeah.
Because they did readdress the pirates.
As someone who hasn't read the books, something I'm really liking what they're doing is they're pretty much like, I like how Stannis and Daenerys are like the flip sides of the coin. Like they're both like trying to claim, the heirs to the throne, but Daenerys is the one who still remains with like honorable intentions, whereas Stannis has pretty much just like fallen for this, evil witch woman pretty much that is like controlling most of his decisions, which is something I like a lot. Yeah, I can't think of much else, really.
I think we should give a little bit of thoughts on the show as a whole.
I thought, again, as someone who didn't read the books, I thought the first season, the first third of it, took a while to get going because it had to set up so many characters, and it didn't. It maybe could have been a little more, figured out a way to do it a little more streamlined, maybe, for an adaptation purposes. But once you get past that introduction stage, it hits the ground running with the Stark conflict, and I thought that was of course Sean Bean has to die. I thought those...
I saw that coming as soon as they cast him.
And I almost have no complaints really about season 2. Well, not true. I thought Daenerys could have had more to do in season 2, but overall I like season 2 more than season 1.
I think it got better, because I think season 1 it is very Stark focused.
Yeah.
But then again, most of the first book is told from his perspective. The second one is mostly Tyrion, which makes sense because Peter Dinklage got top billing for season 2, and it looks like season 3 because I think he was in the pilot the most because he has to talk with his sister and he has to talk with his father. By the way, his sister's a total bitch.
And incestuous whore. Well, I mean, at this point, like Sean Bean was like the poster actor for the show, and now Peter Dinklage is the poster actor.
Rightfully so. He's fantastic. But another good thing about the show is there's no weak links as far as casting goes. Even the kids.
Yeah, all
like
the kids
kid who plays Braun, I think he's fantastic.
Arya.
Also, they're giving Julian Glover some work.
It took me a while to realize that was him. There are some points where I just...
I mean, great. It does slow down at times.
There are some points in the first season where I was getting a little bit annoyed at Sansa's stubbornness.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's back off.
I'm just like, come on, are you really turning against your family just for Joffrey? Like, really? Come on, do you not see how horrible this guy is? Like, this kid just screams, like, just pathetic, like, just wait. Unacceptable.
Like that scene where he gets beaten up.
Oh.
You could just put the lemongrab stuff over that and it would fit.
I want all the scenes where he's hit or whimpering away, like on a loop, just so I can savor those moments.
As far as me, I haven't read the books either, but I think the show does a really good job of both giving everyone something to do, but it doesn't get muddled at any times. Like character motivations are there, and they're built upon. And whenever someone backtracks on something, it makes sense. I can understand if people think it's a little overwhelming. I mean, I thought it was for a while, but it gets better as you watch it. One of my 5 favorite shows on TV currently. Speaking of which, my other 4 would be Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Justified, this.
I need to get into Justified.
This, and one more. South Park. No, Archer.
Yeah, there you go. Archer.
Now.
Okay, we have a lot of words to say about Walking Dead.
Sorry, Game of Thrones fans. I don't think there was much to talk about.
Well,
basically, to sum it up, it delivered.
Yeah.
And it does what a pilot should do. It gets you interested, and it starts what the progression of the season will be. Because you get the snow.
Exactly.
Snow is going to build up to get back. You got building up the army, and you got Tyrion trying to resolve his daddy issues. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
And now, God damn it.
Let me reiterate, spoilers galore.
I was so, like, okay.
First and foremost, thoughts on Walking Dead season as a whole.
As a whole, okay. I think, the first season I thought was very uneven. I thought that, personally, I still think the pilot is the best episode
Of the whole show?
Yeah. And then I thought episode 2 was great, and I thought episodes 3 and 5 were decent too, but as a whole, the thing with season 1 is it doesn't really have much of like a.
There's no overlapping like story to it. It's just it's them coming together. The closest thing you could say is Rick trying to get to his family.
Yeah, but then that's resolved like
midway through.
Exactly, midway through it. So, but then. It doesn't really have a central thrust to it, and then the CDC finale is
I also
terrible.
think it's too downbeat. Like there's very little humor in the first season.
Well, there's not really much humor elsewhere either.
No, but I think. Well, we should move on to season 2. I think, on the whole, season 2, from a story standpoint, is the strongest of the three. It's the most even, I should say.
Yeah, I would say because I'm just gonna say because I thought the season 1 finale was terrible, honestly. But season 2 gets
so much flack.
It gets so much flack. It's mostly the first half, and personally, with the exception of a couple episodes, I never was bored with the first half of season 2. Really.
What was the finale of that? That was when Sophia got shot.
That's the mid-season finale.
Yeah, I said mid-season.
Yeah, the barn massacre. That I don't want to brag, but I was talking with Christian at one point, like a few episodes before the mid-season premiere, and I actually said to him, I have an idea. It's gonna sound crazy, and I said, what if Sophia was in the barn? And he's like, no, they wouldn't do it. And then she walks out of the barn, and he texts me, and he's like, you were fucking right. You fucking called it.
But I think that's perfect, because I think a mid-season finale should do one of two things. It should resolve something that's been building up, which is what they did, but also it should make you wanting more. Because that's such a downbeat finale.
Oh, yeah.
like all is lost, and even kids are vulnerable, which is something that...
I also thought the moment is in the episode right before it when Lori finally tells Rick about Shane and then her pregnancy, and you're just like, huh. It's just like this, you're like, oh. And it's just like, it's not like a big argument like the show usually turns into. It's just this quiet moment where Rick just like...
contemplates.
It's
just contemplating.
Mm-hmm. And, and then it...
Then I think the second half is probably my favorite half of a collective season.
Like, really? I think the first half of season 3 is the best half.
True. Okay.
But yeah, season 2, the second half of season 2, it's almost like I wasn't down on the first half, but it did drag. But season 2 second half of season 2 found the right mix of slower character moments and action stuff and actual events pushing forward and actual confrontation and momentum in the plot. I mean, hell, the first episode back is the scene in the bar with the 3 guys, and you're like, oh, there's gonna be these new characters, and then no, Rick just right there, and then it's just, and then it continues to build up the Shane conflict, which culminates in the fantastic episode where Rick has to take out Shane, and then Carl finishes the job, and then of course the whole farm gets attacked. And
I like how Shane, it's gradual. It's not like you understand where he's coming from, why he's going ape shit.
He's a very interesting character because he is crazy, but at the same time...
But he's still thinking, because there's that scene after he kills Randall. Yeah. He's like, oh shit, what do I do now? So he sees the tree, goes up to it, and just goes like this.
Oh, yeah. And, what was I going to say? Now, obviously, it's not perfect. This season was not perfect, but, like I said, the first half does drag. I think the first half of season 2 actually is my least favorite episode of the whole show. with the well. Because
Oh.
absolutely